Paris has been liberated from the French usurpers. Now all that remains is to fully eliminate them. Welcome back to our Karling restoration campaign. Today I think we're just going to bully France as much as possible and try and conquer them. It's probably going to take a while, but it is what it is. Before I do anything, we're actually going to move our capital so that we can form the Netherlands. I did check, and the border of the Netherlands and the border with France actually line up perfectly, so there's no location that was within both. They fully meet at the border. So I will need to move our capital a bit. We'll likely move it somewhere in the Netherlands. Then we'll move it to Paris. And then finally, once we become France, we'll move it back to the historical capital of the HRE. Let's get that done. Let's move the capital. I think we're going to move it to this city here. It's quite a profitable city, so we might as well place it there. Then once that's done, we'll immediately form the Netherlands. Forming the Netherlands unfortunately won't make us a kingdom. We can't actually become a kingdom because we're part of the HRE, and only certain nations within the HRE are allowed to become kingdoms. We could form Lotharingia to become a kingdom, but you know, I'd much rather form France than form Lotharingia. Their flag isn't very interesting, and they don't have any advancements or events. I'm curious if France has a different flag if it's part of the HRE. I suppose we'll eventually find out. Our mercenaries are about to expire, which I guess doesn't matter that much. We'll just hire another band. Looks like we've gained access to Egyptian mercenaries, though I don't think we'll be hiring them. Let's hire these Castilian ones. I think around 10,000 should be enough. We're actually stronger than France at the moment, just purely based on our levy size. And I think we're going to immediately declare. We'll call in Castile. They haven't been very helpful in our wars. We'll call them anyway. We'll again use the claims of our vassals. We'll use the claim on the French capital. I'm not sure if we'll take it though, because I like where it is since it's a bad location. France is in a coalition against us. So we have a few people that are being called in as co-belligerents as they're in the coalition, but I'm not really afraid of them. There's only 3 of them. So I think it'll be fine. We'll call up the levies. We'll send the mercenaries that we had just to charge into France. They'll probably disband before they get to fight anybody, but they might do something. Just purely based on numbers, we heavily outnumber the French, though 100,000 of this is Castile, and Castile hasn't been very helpful. I'm not sure why. Is it because they have very high war exhaustion? I know that if the war exhaustion's maxed, a country will essentially just capitulate, but I can't see any war exhaustion. I can probably check the ledger, but I don't care enough. France is currently invading one of our HRE members in Italy, but I mean, that's a good distraction for them. We'll see if we can't help out our friends though. We could go and ambush the French. There are some French vassals that are disloyal. For example, we might be able to push some of these guys to becoming disloyal enough that we could separate piece them and annex them. Burgundy, for example, is on 59 loyalty. Start building a spy network. We might be able to push them down to below 50. We won't lose any sleep if we can't, obviously, but it'd definitely be nice if we could just start annexing these French vassals. Lorraine has been defeated. We won't annex them. There's no need to. They're not within France's borders, and they're a fellow HRE member. They do have some claims on French land, though, I believe. I guess we'll just separate piece them. What should we demand from them? We'll take some money, of course. War reparations. We'll humiliate them, I guess. And that'll probably be that. We could have them annul some of their alliances, but I don't really care to. Them defeated. One thing of note is once we annex France, we'll gain all of the French vassals. So it's tempting for me to avoid annexing them since they're going to become ours anyway, right? But at the same time, we do want to form France. And to do that, we'll need land in France, and I want to avoid a situation where we've got so many French vassals that it'll take ages, hundreds of years to integrate all of them in order to become France. So I think we've reached the point where I'm no longer scared of France in a war, so I'm not that bothered if we experience revolts that France potentially joins. It might actually be good because it'll let us pull France into wars even while we have truces. So from now on, I'm likely just going to keep all the land we take for myself within the French borders, obviously. We might release land that France controls outside of France. Give it to some new friends. There we go. We can now form the Netherlands. Let's do it immediately. No reason to wait. We're now the Duchy of the Netherlands. We lost our cool eagle and our nice purple color, and instead have this more orangey color and this lion. I suppose it'll do. One thing I realized recently is if we click on our flag and we go to our country screen, we can hover over this little beaker here, and it shows all of the unique advancements we have for our nation and any other nation we've been in the past We can also see which focus we selected in each of the ages, which is definitely nice. The only way I'd want this to expand is if it also showed unique advancements for your culture and culture groups, and if it showed a unique advancements based on your location and religion, of course, as well. But it's definitely nice to be able to see all of that information. It'll be pretty helpful when we eventually form France, because it will of course keep all of our Dutch reforms. Although we can't get any of these Dutch reforms yet, they're all going to take place in the next era, so it's a little too early. We'll do gain access to Dutch events though, so we'll see if any of them trigger. Alright, this war's pretty much done. There's only 6,000 of them left, and they're not even the main French army. Just a matter of now full occupying France, and then making our demands. One thing I have discovered recently, I did complain a fair bit in the past about how annoying it is to set up the automation, but I realized, I'm not sure if you could always do this, but you can just right click the gem to select everything instead of having to select every individual location, which makes setting up automation a lot easier and infinitely more pleasant. So if that was something that was added, that's good. And if it wasn't, and I only have noticed it now, that was my fault, and I apologize. But that's how things go. It's not like this game explains much of anything, so some things are just gonna slip beneath the cracks, as it were. So before we continue, let's think about what we want from this war. We obviously want to weaken France. We could just focus on returning land they've taken that is cores of other nations, including our vassals. Toulouse and Aquitaine still have lots of land in the south that could be returned. Oh, it looks like Lorraine does have lots of cores, but at the same time, I think I want this land for myself. I'd like to take, I think, the borders of France for myself, and we'll probably just leave everything outside of France, not including our Netherlands lands, obviously, but we'll release nations to govern those lands. I'm also thinking we'll leave taking the land that's part of the HRE for another war, where we'll likely use the Imperial Band CB, because the Imperial Band CB, if I can show it off, is only for taking land that is part of the HRE. So I'd rather use the Imperial Band, just take all of the HRE land at once, although maybe I'm thinking about it wrongly. Maybe we should just take all of the HRE land, kind of cut France off from the HRE in order to protect it from the France's continued aggression. We could go for something like this and kind of just snake down and cut France off from the HRE. Definitely an option. We'll need to keep an eye on aggressive expansion though. We're going to rack up a lot from a peace deal like this, especially because it means we'll be expanding close to the HRE's borders. Maybe instead we should do the opposite and expand further into the French interior. We don't really mind if France is close to the HRE border, because eventually they're going to become too weak that they can really expand into the HRE, right? Maybe instead we should just focus on returning land to our vassals, as we have been doing. We could fully restore Aquitaine, giving it all its land, not counting the land controlled by Castile. I'm avoiding returning land to Normandy simply because the French capital's up here, and I kind of like it up here because it's hard for them to defend and easy for us to attack, and likely hard for them to spread control from, so I don't really want to risk them moving their capital somewhere that's easier to defend and better at spreading control. That would fully restore both Aquitaine and Toulouse. Or no, perhaps not. There's still a few Aquitanian provinces. This would leave them one province off. Maybe we'll go for this. It doesn't rack up much aggressive expansion because we're returning land, and it just strengthens our vassals while weakening the French. And it's not like we're in a rush to full annex the French or anything. The weaker they get, the better. It looks like the anti-French coalition has declared another war on them. That's both a good and a bad thing. Good because it weakens France, bad because it means the coalition could expand and release land. We don't really want them to release land like they have done. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but we'd rather take all the land for ourselves. Funnily enough, one of the things we can do is demand unlawful territory from these guys leading the coalition, and they'll return land back to France, which is kind of funny. So hypothetically, we could just return any land they take back to France, which we can then take for ourselves. Alright, I think it's time we peace out. Unfortunately, this peace deal will leave them fractured by a lot. One thing I wish would happen is if the game would show me where the fractures are, as it's not like I can really tell. I guess here, right? Because we've taken the land here and this is leaving them fractured. Let's see if we don't take these two locations. They're still fractured by it. No, that didn't change the fracturing. There must be another fracture. Ah, it's here, right? This is what's fracturing them. It's a little awkward with France especially because a lot of their land is controlled not just by them, but by their vassals. So it's hard to tell where the borders with France are and the borders where their vassals are. And because France controls random territory in amongst all its vassals, it can lead to awkward situations where it's hard to see where exactly the fracturing comes. Doesn't help that Aquitaine has random cores everywhere while leaving out certain locations. There, that's got rid of most of the fracturing. Still a little bit somewhere, but it's probably best to just take whatever we can, even taking into account the fracturing. We're not getting the max amount of war score though, so maybe let's think about taking more land. We could almost fully restore Brittany, but I think we'll set that as the goal. It's 100 war score worth of land. We just need to get a little bit more war score, which shouldn't be a big ask. And there we go. France is willing to make peace. We'll restore land to Toulouse, nearly forming their full height. We'll give a few scattered locations back to the Aquitanians, and we'll restore lots of Brittany, almost at their maximum level. Ah, look how big that Toulouse is. It's definitely nice to see. France is further weakened. We'll take a little look at what their tax base looks like now. It's currently 360. We might wait to the end of the month. Drops down to 311. Not the biggest drop, but to be fair, we did take a lot of land that was very far away from their capital and likely wasn't earning them much. We should have taken this silver location just because it's their main source of income, making 70 of their 300 ducats. Fortunately, nobody has any cores on it. It's just a French core, so we'd have to take it directly. Speaking of taking land directly, we can now vote for another HRE law. We have enough to vote for the next level of succession, Emperor Successor Preference. This is an imperial comfort policy, so it'll allow us to start getting the higher level of reforms that benefit us. It'll also increase the reason to elect us, so I think we'll just do it straight away. We'll see if it passes. It's looking pretty good. Most of these guys know what's good for them. I am thinking we should take some action against the two Sicilies. The coalitions against them keep failing and they keep expanding into the HRE, which is something we do not like. So I definitely want to take them out and start liberating land from their vile occupation. We're also going to begin the integration of our vassal that controls Paris, because we'd like to move our capital there as soon as possible. The Empire also voted for our Emperor Preference Succession Law. With that done, our policies benefiting the Emperor is now 2, meaning we can now potentially start leveling up to higher levels of Imperial Authority, like improved Imperial Authority, and then we can start heading down to revoking the privilege. Revoking the privilege is a little different in this game compared to EU4. I don't think places become your vassals when you revoke the privilege. Instead, they either swear an oath of loyalty, which maybe makes them into some sort of vassal, or they leave the Empire, and if they leave the Empire, we get calls on them. So even if lots of people leave, we can kind of just retake their land, since it will be our cores, but we'll see how things go. One thing we could do as part of the Italian wars is we could just grab a claim, I think, on Naples, or the two Sicilies. That way we guess we wouldn't need to make casus bellis, although taking land directly in Italy is likely going to really rack up our aggressive expansion, but maybe it's not that big of a deal. I think let's try it. We'll say we want to take the capital from two Sicilies. That gives us a claim. We just need to get a diplomat. I guess we'll stop building a spy network inside them. Should free up some of our diplomat capacity. And then I guess we'll just declare war. Nice and straight. Ah, but it looks like it's a league war. And so they'll call in all of the other members of the league they're a member of. Is that correct? They're part of the Third Italian League, which only has 3 members, so something's not correct. Ah, it's because they're in an independence movement against one of our vassals. I guess we'll just end this guy's free city status, which will dissolve the independence movement. We can always just make him a free city again in a few months, so that's that problem solved. It does lead to the birth of another independence movement, but as long as the two Sicilies don't join, we shouldn't have any problems. There we go, a much nicer war with less people involved. Can't call in Castile, but then they're not that useful. We don't need them, so let's just go. The two Sicilies are in a union with some of our members, and I think we can now break unions as part of a peace deal. I haven't tried it though, so we'll see how it goes. Let me check. Is there a break union button? No, perhaps not. Maybe I dreamed it. I don't feel like I dreamed it though. Ah well, we can always just take some land from the two Sicilian marriage partners. France continues its aggression, despite having 0 levies. They've declared war on Genoa. Should we join? I don't think we're going to. It's kind of tempting, because if we do join, it'll dissolve our truce, obviously. We might end up with a shorter truce. But at the same time, being at war will you know, increase the time we're at war. We're currently 6 years off the end of our truce. I think we'll leave it. We'll let them fight Genoa. I guess we could rack up Imperial Authority from defending the Empire, but I'm not that bothered. Our Imperial Authority income's pretty good, or at least good enough for me. Provence has been pretty handily defeated. We'll have them release any land that they have which has vassals in, and any vassals they have as subjects, have them release them. We could return location to the Pope, but the Pope is still a vassal of Tunis, and I kind of think what we'll do is we'll annex the Pope, then release him, and that should cause him to be spawned as a member of the HRE. I'm not sure how the Pope interacts with the HRE in EU5, but I'm a little cautious against giving him land, at least at the moment. So we'll go with that. Now we come to the hard part though. What do we do with the two Sicilies itself? We could just go like crazy and grab lots of territory. That'll rack up the aggressive expansion though, or antagonism. But does it do it with anyone we care about? The Bank of St. George would take offense. Let's actually take their capital first so we can see what it's like to take their capital in the peace deal. There we go, the two Sicilies is about done. We could just take their capital. One thing we could do is take a lot of this land and then just release it as nations without really the intent of integrating it ourselves. So it's just good Holy Roman territory, potentially permanently. As discussed though, there's definitely antagonism from taking a lot of this land. Hypothetically, depending on where they move their capitals, two Sicilies might become a member of the HRE if they move it up here, for example. Although it's most likely they'll move their capital somewhere in Sicily. Although they've lost a lot of land there to the Tunisians. I guess we'll just do this. It's a little worrisome, but it should be fine. It's unfortunate that the two Sicilies counts as Naples, so we can't release Naples into the area. That would be kind of funny. One thing I'm thinking about doing right now is actually declaring war on Tunis to liberate Rome. Tunis controls quite a lot of territory in the area. Problem is reaching them. It's going to be a little awkward. We don't have a navy, and I doubt our vassals will have strong enough navies to do it for us. Could we call, if we can call Castile in, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Castile says no though. Oh, they're currently at war. Once they end this war, we should be able to call the Castilians in. I guess we'll hold out a bit for that. We'll likely use the action here to campaign in Italy. I think what we'll do is we'll declare our target as Rome itself. We'll occupy it to rack up the ticking war score, and then essentially we'll just wait out the war. We've actually gained a cardinal from taking Naples, something I actually wanted to avoid because it's really annoying being a part of the cardinal system, but I suppose we'll just have to deal with it. We're going to start releasing vassals here in southern Italy, nothing too crazy. Release a fiefdom, then release a vassal, then release a fiefdom. It should be fairly easy to keep these guys loyal because of all the modifiers we have to our subject loyalty. The only rebellious vassals we have are just those free cities, which are constantly just making trouble. And there we go. The area has been vassalizationed. We'll likely try and get these guys to join the HRE so that they can benefit from our benevolent leadership in the future. Castile has won its war, so we can now call them in. So we'll see how this goes. Hypothetically, we won't need to do anything if we just occupy Rome because it's the war goal. We can hypothetically just wait here, even if we can't reach the Tunisians over in Africa. One thing I didn't take into account though, because I kind of forgot about it, is we can't actually get to Rome because the two Sicilies controls all of the territory around it. And as such, we can't reach the city because they won't give us access. What a horrible blunder. We're just going to have to hope our vassals are smart enough to ferry their armies over to Rome itself. But I'm not going to hold my breath. This whole conflict may go poorly now, but it is what it is. I guess we'll waste our time just stack wiping the Tunisian armies that land in Italy. Looks like our vassals did make it to Rome. That's excellent. As long as they siege the city down, we shouldn't have any problems. Looks like Tunis is sending their main army over here to Italy. Can our 6,000 or so elite cavalry deal with 18,000 levies? Let's find out. Game definitely thinks we're going to win. They immediately retreated. Did they die? No, they just ran away. Let's pursue them. They're trying to get back on their ship. We caught them. Chase them down. We don't want to give them a chance to retreat. Oh, looks like they've managed to fall back all the way to their lands in Sicily, where we can't follow. Too bad. I suppose if they ever rear their heads again in Italy, we'll be able to catch them. While we're doing this, we've racked up the 50 imperial authority we need to pass some more laws. So what should we go for next? As discussed, I think we're just going to save up a little more. 60 is all we need to go to the next level of centralization. It'll give us a little bit of diplomatic reputation and a little bit more monthly imperial authority. We'll need to get another 3 comfort policies before we can go to revoke the privilege though. Maybe we should do something instead of that if there's something beneficial. We could instead vote for direct imperial free cities. We'll need 75 imperial authority to do it. This is an imperial comfort policy, so it'll increase our stats by 1. It'll also make every free city into a vassal that joins us in wars, giving us a bit of a vassal swarm because there is currently 88 free cities in the empire. Problem is, of course, they're all really disloyal. But on the plus side, if we pull them into our wars, they can't declare independence movements or revolt. So maybe we should go for that and just drag them into all of our conflicts. We're probably going to need to get it anyway because it's an imperial comfort policy. I'm warming up to the idea. I think we're going to try it. Curious to see how it will work. Our vassals managed to take Rome. Now, as long as we hold it, we can just essentially wait for the war to end. Speaking of war ending, what would we take from Tunis? Really, we would just want to take all of their Italian land. We're definitely not going to be able to do that, though. It would cost us 200 peace cost to get it all. If we could just take their land in Sicily, though, that would be excellent, because we could then release Sicily and feed them the land that the two Sicilies controls, though we might just have to accept only taking Rome. I think we're going to peace out and just take Rome. This war is unlikely to take a turn. Well, I guess we could take a single location here in Sicily and then release Sicily from it. So I think we'll do that as well. We'll take just a few locations. Rome is now under our control. We get an event to return Rome. Before we do, we're going to add the city of Rome to the empire. Now, when we release Rome, it should be released as a member of the empire. Rome is released. I'm not sure if they've been added to the empire, though. It doesn't like it, even though their core is a part of the HRE. That might be a little unfortunate. Maybe I miscalculated there. I've never actually tried to get the Pope to join the HRE in EU5. That's how it would have worked if this was EU4, though. We'll also release Sicily. Imperial Prince restored. We'll potentially feed them the rest of Sicily in the future. Our truce with France is up, so it's time for us to go beat them up again. Castile is such a worthless ally. They always seem to lose their entire army in every battle and war we fight, but maybe that's just how things go. We'll call them in regardless. They might be able to provide some assistance. I think we'll continue to prioritize returning land to our vassals. France really isn't in a situation where they can oppose us much at this point, so it's just a case of us slowly eating them. We are going to call up some mercenaries just because why not? Although we're about to finish research, which will decrease the cost of mercenaries by another 20%. So let's hold off until that's researched first. Poland is also expanding the HRE in the east for us. Good work, Poland. There we go. Mercenary cost minus another 20%. It's now minus 60% for us to hire mercenaries. They are incredibly cheap now. Let's just hire this group of 12,000 men for only 900 gold. We should enjoy our mercenary privilege while we can. It's unlikely it's going to stay this way without getting patched. We've annexed our vassal that controls Paris. We're going to continue annexing all of these guys, these small ones for the moment. No real reason to keep them around. The Holy Roman Emperor has died. It was a clean succession though. His heir, Gustav Wilhelm III. Don't know why he's got a 3 in his name instead of the Roman numeral, but he's the third either way. Gives us 5 imperial authority. Oh, and it looks like the Pope has joined the HRE. He's even requesting free city status. I'm curious how that will work, because that makes him a vassal. Will he demand his independence again afterwards? I suppose we'll see. For our ruler, his mother is still the Queen of Denmark, so once she dies, we'll inherit the Danish throne and form a marriage union. We're also going to begin the process of moving our capital to Paris. Might be a bit premature, but I just want to get it out of the way. One thing of note now, though, is that our rulers have gone native. Our current ruler is Danish. We can always switch him over to Walloon whenever we feel like, though. But it's kind of better to have your ruler be a different culture because it gives you access to the language of pleading laws. So I prefer to leave my ruler as a different culture for as long as possible, which is forever, really. Now, here's something curious. When we made the Papal State into a free city, they became a republic, but their leader is still the Pope. So I guess we've democratized the Catholic Church. The Pope is now a democratically elected consul of the Papal State. We did it, guys. I guess we really did reform the Catholic Church. May democracy reign. We've also racked up enough imperial authority. I think we're going to go all the way and turn those free cities into direct imperial free cities. I'm just curious to see how it will go. Maybe they'll revolt immediately, or maybe we'll have just a big swarm of vassals to help us out. At the very least, even if they don't help us much, our enemies may waste time attacking and sieging our vassals, which in turn will weaken the free cities and make them more loyal. Potentially, I guess we'll see. These guys were allied with France, so I think we're just going to full annex them. We might release them, but I don't think so. We're just going to take the land and integrate it up for ourselves. We need to start considering actually taking French territory in order to go on and become France in the future. All right, I think it's time to peace out. We're going to restore a lot of land to Normandy. I'm not that bothered about France moving its capital now. France is pretty weak at this point. We're also going to return all of Brittany's land and a little bit of Aquitaine. I wanted to return more, but it makes them fractured if we do. And so instead we're going to be taking land for ourselves up here, just with the intent of pushing the French back and gaining more land for ourselves. At this point it's really a bygone conclusion that France is going to be eliminated though, right? It's very much a question of when, not if. There we go, we've revoked the autonomy of the free cities. In the year of our Lord, 1489, the most superb Augustus Holy Roman Emperor Gustav Wilhelm III, Karling, Romanorum Imperator, crowned by God, has again convened the estates of the Holy Roman Empire. The Imperial Diet has agreed to limit the autonomy of any free imperial city even further, solidifying the power of the Holy Roman Emperor within the Holy Roman Empire. Incorporate the free cities. Every free city in the empire will become a direct free city subject. They, of course, really don't like this, unsurprisingly, but I'm not too concerned. And there goes our mother, Queen of Denmark. Denmark and the Netherlands are now united into a personal union. It'll take a while, but we'll think about integrating them. Since all of our free cities subjects think they're rather a bit stronger than us, and they kind of are if you add up all the numbers, we're going to begin expanding our army, something we haven't done for a while. I'm thinking we now create a more diverse army, see if we can't get the combined arms bonus from having lots of units of different types. Let's see what changes increasing our standing army has. So they currently say they're minus 59 to their happiness due to our army strength versus theirs. Building up that army reduced it to 52, so not a big decrease. I guess they just really think they're very strong. There's our army created. Should we go and attack someone else now? Has our vassal formed a claim? No, it doesn't like it. It'd be nice if our Sicilian vassal would go and claim the lands that they have cores on, but it doesn't like they're doing so. They are building up a spy network though. Are they fabricating claim? Yeah, they are. It'll be done next year. So next year we could go on the offense against the two Sicilies. We'll likely focus on having them return land both to the Pope and to our Sicilian vassal. Maybe we'll return land to anyone we can. If not, we'll probably just push them into the HRE from taking all their territory. Our casus belli against the two Sicilies is online. I think we'll just declare war. No one's willing to join amongst our allies, but we're going to be bringing in all the free cities now, so I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. Battle is joined. The independence movement immediately dissolves. There's 149,000 of us, though a lot of them are the disloyal free cities. We'll have to see how committed they are to actually fighting. I imagine not very much at all. At the very least, they may provide a distraction. Milan has also joined the war. This gives us a chance to kind of dismember them. They control a lot of land in Italy, so it'd be nice to reduce their size and release some imperial princes. One thing I am concerned about is the papal state. If we return too many provinces to them, they'll stop being a free city. But maybe that's acceptable. Just let them expand and gain their independence, I guess. We'll of course return everything to Sicily. That's what that would look like. Florence, for example, is also a free city, so we'd lose their free cityship as well as if we empowered them. Maybe we should just accept that for the good of the empire. We should restore the people, even if they stop being free cities. Or perhaps instead we could focus on liberating nations, kind of get the best of both worlds. If we did something like that. And I guess we could probably give the papal states full control over their province. Surely having just 3 locations wouldn't be enough to stop them being a free city. With Provence, we're not going to demand much. We're going to liberate this small location they control, and then we'll take some money. They did control, of course, this province that is a core of the papal state, but we didn't want to return it because it would likely lead to the papal state not being a free city, which is something we want to avoid. Oh, I hadn't noticed, but France has actually joined the HRE. They've probably because they're due to their capital being moved, it's moved down here, and they're now a HRE member. I suppose they should be. It hopefully won't cause any problems with us destroying them though. We're going to destroy them regardless of whether they're a HRE member, because we're the real France. Milan's taken enough of a beating. We'll have them release their vassal down here. It's an independent nation. Then we'll have them release this area as an independent nation. Is there anything else? We could have them return some cores. I guess we'll have them release this tiny little nation up here. If we ever end up at war with them again, we can take it more. And there they go. Always nice to see some imperial princes restored to the Empire. Now we can focus on the two Sicilies. Alright, time to make peace. I've changed my mind about restoring land to the Papal State for a few reasons. Number one, I'd like to keep them as a vassal. Having the Pope as a vassal just sounds right? And at the same time, since the two Sicilies is going to lose all its territory in Sicily, they're likely just going to move their capital into the HRE. So they'll become a HRE member anyway. So it's not really a bother if they become unhappy. We can also just liberate the area, which might destroy the two Sicilies fully. I will see. I'm not sure how it will work. But I don't want to risk the Papal State growing and becoming independent. We want to keep them as a vassal. The Pope being a vassal of the Holy Roman Emperor is, you know, accurate. So let's do this and see what happens. Yes, it looks like the two Sicilies did get destroyed, and a new nation spawned here that we liberated. Their vassal over here, did they become our vassal? No, it looks like they became independent. That's fine. We'll invite these guys to the Holy Roman Empire straight away. Now we should be able to invite all of our southern Italian vassals into the HRE. We'll need to improve relationships a little bit, obviously. But now the HRE should have complete dominance of Italy, exactly as planned. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Now we can start thinking about liberating some land from the HRE that we thought about previously. For example, Hungary still controls a fair bit of land that's part of the HRE. We could go bully them and force them to liberate it. France is, of course, still a thing. Our truce is gonna end next year, so maybe let's hold off and go to war with France again, instead of doing anything too crazy. Well, I guess we'll just relax for a few years. Right, time to continue bullying the French. We're getting close to a point where they're kind of going to be fully destroyed. It shouldn't take many more wars to eliminate them. We'll of course continue returning land to our vassals, though we're starting to run out of land that can be returned. This will be likely what we go for our peace deal. It's going to be pretty controversial, but I honestly think we're reaching the point where we don't really care that much about upsetting people. We'll of course try and keep happiness high by sending out our diplomats. But at this point, with large portions of the HRE vassalized as free cities and our status as emperor pretty secure, I'm not feeling that bothered about people maybe becoming a little upset with us. And if a coalition or something does form, it's almost an opportunity for us to kind of slap down on some of the more independent-minded princes. Burgundy has become disloyal. We could full annex them right now. It's risky though. We're going to gain a lot of aggressive expansion or antagonism. Mainly going to be with France and the French vassals. Should we risk it? I think we're going to risk it. We're likely going to anger a lot of people anyway. Might as well go all the way and anger everybody. I think we're going to peace out with this. We're taking most of their northern territory outside these areas over here. We are seeing some expansion by... well, we're seeing some of the southern land being occupied by Savoy as part of the, I believe it's the anti-France coalition again. Yes, the second anti-France coalition. Hopefully, if we're lucky, they'll release some territory from France and weaken them further. We expand our might into the French area. As discussed, I'm not really worried about any rebellions at this point. I don't think they'll pose much of a threat to us. Coalition may form, but again, I'm not really concerned. As long as we don't risk losing our HRE electionness, and it doesn't look like we're going to, then I'm fine with any sort of unhappiness. We've actually brought that silver mine we mentioned before under our control here, so we've very much reduced the French. They now only have a tax base of 216. They'll be gone soon enough. Ooh, now here's a unique Netherlander event. The 7 provinces. Although the Low Countries have been unified with a common cause, they are still divided thanks to de jure claims and cultural differences. However, we can use this disunity to our advantage by creating a confederation where each province has its laws and rights while still having them obey the central government. We can properly ensure that each one of them is protected and can prosper on their own, allowing us to look outward instead. So we can simply say no, which pushes us towards centralization, or we can say let us create this confederation, which pushes us towards decentralization, gives us the 7 provinces government reform, which gives us an extra cabinet seat and increases estate satisfaction for each estate by 5, as well as giving us a little push towards decentralization, and doesn't even take up a government reform slot. So I think we're going to do it. Higher estate satisfaction means more money, and extra cabinet seat means more coring, as well as other things. We're about to experience a Burgundian revolt. This may pull us into a war with France, because Navarre's here is the only nation of Burgundian culture, so they may join the revolt. We'll just have to see how it goes. Before we do anything though, I think I want to pass another Holy Roman law. Since people are quite unhappy with us because of our aggressive expansion, we could pass something that makes Imperial members happier. For example, we could go for the next level of the Imperial Diet, which would make everyone happier by 25. How the Imperial Diet works a little, but I don't think it would matter much. Is there anything else? We could save up more and go and push to improve the centralization of the empire, but it's going to make everyone hate us, and they already hate us a lot. And it's not like we can get to the higher tiers anyway. We still need 5 imperial comfort policies. We could start pushing for imperial contribution for military, for manpower, but I'm not that concerned. We've done everything we can do with free subjects, so we don't need to think about that. I don't really want to enforce it so that only we can be elected within the empire for a few reasons. Number one, it will decrease imperial authority growth, which is bad. Number two, we already get an imperial comfort policy for the previous action, so it wouldn't give us an imperial comfort policy. It would secure the election permanently and lock some reforms, but I'm not sure it makes that big of a difference. There is a potential that it would stop the religious leagues from forming, but I kind of want them to form so that I can actually engage with them, as I've never seen them successfully do anything. I also don't really want to go down the path of limiting the electors. It's something we're going to have to do at some point in order to get the imperial comfort policies. But right now, there's benefit to making the empire a little happier. With that said, we could start going down the path to limit internal war within the empire. That also gives us an imperial comfort policy. It's going to take a lot of imperial authority to get deep enough into these reforms to the point where they'll give us an imperial comfort policy, though. It will cost what? Let's do the math. 50, 100, 150, 200 imperial authority to get a comfort policy from this. It will let us stop internal wars, though, by enforcing peace. It does cost imperial authority to enforce peace, though, which is why I'm not really a fan. I think we'll level up the Diet, make everyone a little happier. Now let's see how this Burgundian revolt unfolds. Burgundy has rebelled. It looks like they've just rebelled on their own. I guess that's not a big deal at all then. They didn't end up calling in Navarre. I forgot to demolish the fort that was in Burgundy, so the war's not going to be a simple wipe like it might have been, but oh well. Well, actually, it looks like the Burgundian revolt has called in a few people. They've called in Savoy, and they've called in Anjou up here. We could take this chance to maybe full annex Anjou. They don't like us. They really hate us, actually. They consider us a rival. Not really sure if they're justified considering that. Or do they? They did at some point. Looks like they may have no longer considered us a rival though, but they do hate us, and they have a lot of antagonism towards us. So we could consider using the chance to just full annex them and remove them from play. They also have French land, obviously, which is something we want and need, but I think we are going to do that. Just take them out. We'll let Savoy live. We're not ready to fully eliminate them just yet. We may never fully eliminate them. They are a righteous HRE member after all. One thing we are going to do with Savoy though is release some of the smaller nations from inside them. We might be able to turn these guys into free cities, and weakening any member of the HRE is usually a good idea, so we'll do that. That's that war done. We'll of course, as I mentioned, take Anjou while we're here, and we'll make peace. We are going to experience apparently this counts as defending the Holy Roman Empire against a rebel. Does this give us imperial authority? It shouldn't. Let's see. So at 22, no, it gave us 0.5, so it did increase it. How odd. But we are going to experience a revolt by the nobility, mainly just due to all of the uncalled land we have. It shouldn't be a big deal at all. And there we go, noble revolt. They shouldn't really pose a threat to us. Even if we didn't call up our levies, our regulars would just deal with them. But we're going to call up our levies just because why not? And there we go, war that lasted like, I don't know, a few weeks, a few days. Not a big deal at all. He raised the levies. How's our truce with France? Truce is over, actually. We could declare war right now. Do we have a CB though? That's one of the things. Because we've taken all the land our vassals had, we've run out of CBs. In fact, we don't actually have any. That's too bad. This might be a little awkward now. I guess I really did forget that we need CBs to declare war. Well now, I guess we'll have to start building a spy network on them. But even if we did, we can't fabricate a CB that's of any use. Could we set France as our rival? I've always wanted to do it, but I've never been able to because every time I try to, our country ends up liking them too much for them to become our rival. Yeah, it still says we like France. We just like France too much for us to become their rival. I guess France is constantly improving their relationship with us. Oh, it's because they've added loads of land to the HRE since joining it. I see how it is. The French are doing everything they can to avoid risking our ire. With that in mind, is there any nation we could release that has cores on French territory? Because if so, I'd consider releasing them and then using the CB they'll generate for us to declare war with. Not seeing anybody. No one's jumping out at me. What about, no, Bar doesn't have any land that we have. Oh, here we go. Champagne. But I think we'll call it there for today. It should only take 1, maybe 2, 3 max wars to fully destroy France now. But either way, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.